Hello and welcome to the daily English news program on Azerbaycan Television. With your host, Rövşən with the most important events of the day. On April 19th, President İlham took part in the opening of the reconstructed 220-110-10 kV Rövşən substation.
Built 45 years ago, Rövşən substation was reconstructed to modern standards and the equipment here was replaced with the new ones. The substation plays an important role in improving the quality of the transmission of electricity produced at the Şimal power plant and the power supply of Baku and Abşeron Peninsula, in particular in the territories of Soraxanı, Güneşli, Əhmədli settlements, thanks to the connection with Abşeron, Böyük, Şor, Ramana, Əhmədli, Qala and Zeh substations. The head of state was also informed about the 110-35-6 kW Məşdağa substation, which has been completely reconstructed with its reliability and stability raised, and the consumers were provided with uninterrupted and high-quality energy. The substation will provide uninterrupted electricity supply to about 150,000 residents of the Sabunçu and Xəzər districts, in particular the settlements of Məşdağa, Buzovna, Bilgəh and Nardaran. President İlham then launched the Məşdağa substation via SCADA dispatcher management system.
President İlham signed an executive order on the development of the smart city and smart village concepts. According to the executive order, a working group on the development of the concept has been established. The working group must provide for effective cooperation with the relevant state bodies, scientific enterprises and civil society institutions upon the development of the concept. At the same time, the working group has to prepare a draft of the concept by engaging representatives of the relevant state bodies, specialized consulting companies, local and foreign experts, as well as develop the technical and security requirements on the infrastructure to be developed as part of the concept and submitted to the President of Azerbaijan in 6 months. The relevant state bodies must take necessary measures in respect to the implementation of duties stemming from the development of the concept. With the decree of the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Agency on State Support to Non-Governmental Organizations of the Republic of Azerbaijan, public legal entity, on the basis of the Council on State Support to Non-Governmental Organizations under the President, has been established. According to the decree, agency is the legal heir of the Council on State Support on NGOs under the President. Its rights and obligations, as well as property, is transmitted to the agency. The overall management and supervision of the activity of the agency will be carried out by Observation Board, made up of 11 members, appointed and dismissed by the President of Azerbaijan. 8 members of the Observation Council will be made up of representatives of NGOs, and 3 others were the representatives of the state bodies. The current management over the activity of the agency will be implemented by the Executive Director, appointed and dismissed by the Observation Council. The maintenance and operation exercises of the agency will be financed from the state budget and at the expenses of other sources not prohibited by the legislation. President İlham signed an executive order on the measures in respect to the implementation of the improvement works in Culture and Recreation Park, named after Nizami, located in the Hatay district of Baku. According to the executive order, 5 million monads from the reserve fund of the President was allocated to Baku City Executive Power. After the historic victory in the Patriotic War, Azerbaijan, with the creation of new realities in the region, is taking fundamental steps to ensure painless transition to the post-conflict phase. But the behavior of Armenia, which has still not recovered from the shock of defeat, remains a threat to long-term stability.
The victory won in the 44-day war, putting an end to the 30-year occupation of Karabakh, is considered the starting point of a new political picture in the South Caucasus, because the elimination of the fact of occupation should stipulate the implementation of large-scale projects in the region, the restoration of communications and economic integration. Armenia, after signing the Act of Surrender on November 10th, demonstrate destructiveness and thereby pose a threat to long-term stability. However, experts believe that economic and communicative cooperation, first of all, may be the only way of salvation for Armenia itself. Azerbaijan behaves quite constructively with regard to further priorities and making unintentional concessions to the enemy and wants to close the war page. We returned more than 1,500 dead bodies of Armenian soldiers. We're still participating together with the Russian peacekeepers in the searching operations. And I can tell you that in the First Karabakh War we had almost 4,000 missing Azerbaijani soldiers. None of them was returned. None of them. So this is a difference. We provide easy transportation, logistical support to Russian peacekeeping forces through our railroad. They bring the goods by the railroad to Barda. It's much easier and cheaper rather than to fly to Yerevan and then go 5 hours or 6 hours by Lachin corridor. So Armenia is an obstacle in terms of the prospects for peace and cooperation in the region. Non-compliance by Yerevan of the fourth point of the trilateral statement, the withdrawal of all armed formations from the territory of Azerbaijan, creates the basis for a new military escalation. Moreover, the modernizing of Armenian army with the support of certain circles, as well as providing them with the Iskandar missiles, slightly increased this threat. We consider the page of the conflict turned over. We can even talk about it, and I already said a couple of times about a possible peace agreement with Armenia. These are our plans, but we do not have any messages of this kind from the Armenian side. Armenian Prime Minister is silent, Armenian Foreign Minister is very aggressive, and Armenia is not in the situation now to afford themselves to be aggressive against Azerbaijan. They should remember what happened during the war. The enemy's inadequate behavior is an indication of existing threat in the region. Thus, Armenia hasn't yet provided Azerbaijan with a map of minefields in order to delay the restoration process. According to some estimates, over the past years, in order to mine the territories of Nagorno-Karabakh and adjacent regions, the enemy spent $350 million. After the war ended, there were more than 100 civilian casualties. More than 20 people were killed as a result of explosion of mines. According to estimates, to clear the territories from unexploded mines, ammunition and missiles, it will take 5 to 6 years. For complete demining, it will take about 10 to 13 years. One of the main intentions of Yerevan in preventing the transition to the post-war period is to bring to the international tribunes the lie about the alleged hatred of the Armenians in Azerbaijani society. Furthermore, the opposite side emphasizes that since the end of the war, they have not made any statements against the Azerbaijanis. Then what about the statement of ex-President Serge Sarkisyan on the significance of the Iskandar missile strikes, Pashinyan's accusations against Baku in the parliament, the Ayvazan's so-called Karabakh formula, as well as harsh messages of the Armenian society against coexistence, demonstration of terrorist thinking in social networks? To ensure a painless transition to the post-conflict phase, the enemy must accept the realities, otherwise the South Caucasus will enter a new stage without Armenia, and this country, against the background of the economic disaster, will become a victim of its political ambitions.
The next meeting of a working group on clearance from mines and unexploded ordnance was an interdepartmental center operating under the coordination headquarters established for the centralized solution of issues in the liberated territories of the Republic of Azerbaijan was held. Authorized representatives of Mine Action Agency of the Republic of Azerbaijan, as well as the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Emergency Situations, the State Border Service and other relevant government agencies participated in the meeting. Weekly reports on the mining activity in the territories liberated from the occupation were heard. Issues reflected in the reports were discussed in the working group on the issues of clearance from mines and unexploded ordnances. According to the plan presented by the relevant structures, work was completed on the demining of several infrastructure facilities, transport, as well as land plots that were handed over as necessary. In order to effectively continue demining, it was considered expedient to conduct joint interagency activities in this area based on joint standards on demining for humanitarian purposes. The Defense Ministry released video footage from Ismail Beyli village of Agdam district, Serdarlı village of Füzuli district, and Mehdili village of Jabrayil district. Ismail Beyli is in the administrative territory of Bağbanlar village of Agdam district. It's situated at the foothills. Its former name used to be Merzili Ismail Bey. The settlement is named after Ismail Bey, the head of the family belonging to the Merzili tribe living in Javanshir district. The settlement, which was occupied by Armenia in 1993, was handed over to Azerbaijan on November 20th, according to a trilateral statement signed on November 10th last year. Serdarlı is a village in the administrative territory of Füzuli district. It's located on the left bank of Aras River. Population of the village, located on the mill plain, mostly was engaged in agriculture and animal husbandry. The settlement, occupied by Armenian armed forces in 1993, was liberated by the glorious Azerbaijan army last year during the Great Patriotic War. Mehdili is a village in the administrative territorial unit under the same name in Jabril district. The territory of the village belonged to Jafar Gulu Khan, son of Ibrahim Khalil Khan. After the Mehdili tribe from the village of Lambaran in Barda region was settled in this area, the newly built village was also called Mehdili. The villagers were mostly engaged in animal husbandry, viticulture and sericulture. The village occupied by the Armenian Armed Forces in 1993 was liberated on October 3, 2020, in the early days of the Great Patriotic War. "995 infections with the novel coronavirus were registered in Azerbaijan. 1,136 people recovered after treatment and were released home. 29 people who earlier tested positive for COVID-19 died. The overall confirmed cases in Azerbaijan have reached 301,661 with 265,539 recoveries and 4,169 deaths. The number of active infections is 31,953. To detect new infection cases over the past day, 5,955 tests overall and 3,114,879 tests have been conducted in Azerbaijan, the task force under the Cabinet of Ministers reported. That was all for the day. Thank you for being with us and see you next time.